Hey guys, welcome to Real Deal English, brought to you by Open Language, helping you use real English to talk about what's going on in the world right now. This is Cynthia.
Hi guys, this is Jason. And today we're going to be talking about a holiday in the United States that's coming up soon.
Ooh, Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Yay, I like Mother's Day. So Mother's Day is popular everywhere in the world, and in America we celebrate it on May 11th.
Which is the second Sunday of May.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, Mother's Day started in the United States.
Oh, okay. And Jason, I know that you know a little bit of history behind Mother's Day, how it got started. How about you walk us through it? So, how did it start and when did it start?
So Mother's Day started in the late 19th century. So this is the late 1800s by women's peace groups. So these were groups of women that didn't like war and they wanted to stop war. So there was a lot of women that were in groups and wanting to do things together. And it was started by a woman named Anne Jarvis. And this is in the American state of West Virginia. So close to Virginia, sort of close to Washington, D.C.
Okay, and why did it start? Why did she want there to be a Mother's Day?
So it was actually because of the Civil War. So the Civil War was the really terrible war that was fought in the United States in the 1860s, right? And so in the 1860s, the northern United States fought against the southern United States. So after that, there were a lot of soldiers that were hurt or killed. And Anne Jarvis wanted the mothers of both sides, the North and the South, to come together and have a celebration of themselves and to support each other with having sons that died or fought in the war, things like that.
And was it big? Was it a big holiday at the beginning? Was it just celebrated in West Virginia, or was it throughout the whole U.S.?
It was still pretty small at that time. In the 1870s and 1880s, there were a few celebrations in West Virginia, in Michigan as well. So a little bit far away from West Virginia, but it wasn't really a big thing yet. She tried, but it didn't really work
out.
No.
Okay. And when did it start becoming big? Because now, I mean, it's celebrated everywhere in the world.
Yeah. So it actually became really big in the beginning of the 20th century.
Okay.
So the beginning of the 1900s. And so Anne passed away in the early 1900s, in 1905, and her daughter Anna.
Okay.
So this is confusing. The mother's name is Anne, and the daughter's name is Anna.
Okay. So Anna continued to celebrate Mother's Day?
Yeah, she continued the fight to make Mother's Day a holiday in the United States. And so the first Mother's Day that is like today's Mother's Day was held in West Virginia on May 12th, 1907. And it was held in a church because Anna's mother, Anne, taught school at that church. So it sort of started in a church and had connection to religion.
And this was in West Virginia, correct?
Yeah, and so West Virginia, it's not really like a big city or anything.
No. So when did it start spreading then?
So it was actually the next year, on 1908, someone in Philadelphia heard about this Mother's Day and said, let's celebrate it in our church in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And so Philadelphia is a pretty big city. And so then the next year after that, it spread to New York City. And then once it spread to New York City, it went everywhere in the United States.
Okay, and so it started off as a celebration in churches only, correct?
Yeah, it was mostly in churches that had a very strong religious connection.
Was it still a celebration for women who had lost their children during wartime, or was it now a little bit different? Was it for every woman out there?
Yeah, so what happened was in 1914, so this is 7 years after the first Mother's Day celebration in West Virginia, the United States government made it an official holiday. And so every second Sunday of May was going to be Mother's Day. But at that time, they still said that it was mostly for women whose children had died in wars. So the Civil War or the Spanish-American War.
So it's all war.
At the beginning, people thought of it as a thing for mothers who had lost children in wars, so whose children had died in wars. But today,
it's for every mother.
It's for every mother. It's not like that. Thankfully, not many mothers in the United States have children who have died in war, so it's for everyone's mother.
You're listening to Real Deal English, brought to you by Open Language. If you're really enjoying today's lesson and you really want to improve your English, well, you have to do more than just listen to Real Deal English. Check out openlanguage.com, where there's over hundreds of open language English lessons.
So we're talking about Mother's Day today. And so we just learned a little bit about the history of Mother's Day. And as we mentioned, today, Mother's Day is not really about mothers whose children died in wars. It's for all mothers, right?
It's for all mothers, exactly. And there are some traditions that we Americans do on Mother's Day. So what are some of these traditions? What do we do?
One of the big ones is carnations. So carnations are a flower that are usually white. And so on the very first Mother's Day in Philadelphia in 1908, Anna Jarvis brought 500 carnations to the church in Philadelphia. And so because of that, even today, Mother's Day has a connection to carnations. So you're supposed to give your mother carnations. But as we'll talk about in a little bit, people give...
any kind of flower.
Any kind of flowers,
as long
okay,
as
I think.
It's a flower.
As long as it's pretty.
Yeah, okay. And so any other traditions?
Well, as we mentioned before, Mother's Day in the United States started in churches. So it started with Christianity. It started with a religious connection. So for a lot of people today, it still has a really strong religious connection. They go to church.
Okay.
In church, they talk about Mother's Day and mothers. And of course, Mother's Day is on a Sunday.
It is on a Sunday.
Sunday is when you go to church. Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Exactly.
But I think for most people, it's not really about church anymore.
No. I feel that it's become commercialized.
Yeah, it's really commercialized.
So let's talk about this commercialization. So what is it?
Commercialization is when something starts to be about money. So people say that Mother's Day has now become very commercialized, and that before, when it first started, it was about loving your mother and going to church and talking about God and your mother, and now it's about spending money.
Yeah. Buying cards.
And the really interesting thing is that this started within 10 years of Mother's Day starting. So as we said before, Mother's Day started in 1914. And within 10 years, by the 1920s, in the United States, Mother's Day was already very commercialized. People were spending money on their mothers and buying their mothers things. And Anna Jarvis, who started Mother's Day, hated this.
Really?
She hated this. She even said that she wished Mother's Day had never started because she hated how people were spending money on it. So she died in 1948, and until she passed away in that year, she never stopped saying that she hated the fact that people spend money on Mother's Day.
Well, that's sad, but you know, it happens.
Especially in the United States.
Yeah, a lot of things get commercialized. Okay, so some of the things that people spend money on are, of course, taking their moms out to eat.
Yeah, that's a big thing in my family. In my family, we always go out and get brunch. So brunch is like a really big late dinner or early lunch. So maybe around 11 o'clock or noon. Do you get lunch with your family as well?
No, we do dinner.
Okay.
Dinner, yes.
So interestingly, Mother's Day is the biggest day of the year in the United States for people to eat at restaurants. So everyone takes their mother to brunch or dinner, and they spend tons of money at restaurants.
I also buy my mom flowers, and Americans spend lots of money on flowers as well. They spend about $2.6 billion on flowers.
That's a ton of money. I usually buy my mom flowers too, and I think that's sort of the classic tradition, right?
I think so too. I think everyone usually does. I mean, if your mom doesn't get flowers, that's a little sad.
That's a little sad. And it's also the beginning of May, so you're in spring.
Spring, exactly.
Hopefully the weather is nice where you live, and so you have flowers in your house, and hopefully your mom likes them. So $2.6 billion, that's a ton of money.
That is a lot of money.
Americans also spend $1.53 billion on pampering.
Yes, of course. I love being pampered.
So this is an interesting word. It means being taken care of.
So
people doing nice things for you, right?
Yeah, you go to the spa, you get a massage, you get your nails done, a pedicure, everything.
So a lot of people buy these things for their mothers. They buy a spa they'll buy a massage for their mom, or buy a nail treatment or something to make their moms feel nice.
Oh, and a lot of people, of course, also buy cards, greeting cards. And they spend about $68 million on greeting cards.
So this is a really big one because a lot of people say that Mother's Day in the United States is so commercialized now that it's become a Hallmark holiday.
Yes.
So Hallmark is one of the most famous greeting card companies in the United States. So if you go to any supermarket or drugstore in the United States, there's a big section where they have cards for everything. 16th birthday, 21st birthday, anniversary, your dog died.
Yeah, everything.
Anything. You can buy a card for.
Graduation, yes.
Everything. And so a Hallmark holiday is a holiday that only exists for commercial purposes or for people to spend money and is not about people actually caring. And so the idea is on a true holiday, on a real holiday, you would make your own card or do something special to show that you care. But on a Hallmark holiday, you just go to the supermarket, spend $5, buy a card, write your name, love you, Mom, write your name in the card and give it to your mom and say, here, I bought this for you.
Well, I guess at school, when you're a little kid, you still make your cards for your mom. So that's a little nice that schools are keeping the tradition of making your own card.
Do you make cards for your mom?
Not anymore. I guess I did when I was living in Korea. I think I did make a card for her because every single card I found was in Korean. So, she can't read Korean.
And I think generally mothers like it more when you actually make something for your mom instead of just buying something, a card like that.
Do you make cards for your mom?
Yeah, when I was younger and living in the United States still or near my mom, I would make cards for my mom. These days, because I'm not living near my mom, I usually just send her flowers or call her on the phone. But it's always nicer when I can actually be with my mom on Mother's Day.
They love that.
Because, as I said before, we always go out to brunch, we have a big meal, and then the rest of the day, at least in my family, is like a special day for my mom. So whatever my mom wants to do, we do.
That's great.
And of course, sometimes my mom will say, let's clean the house. And I say, all right. I can't say no, so I'm going to say all right.
Yeah, we just go out for dinner, and my mom is really close to her brother. So her brother always comes, and he brings his wife and my cousins, and he always brings my mom flowers.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and so usually it's like 2 Mother's Days for me because my aunt is also my godmother, so I also give her a little card or flowers or something.
Do you do anything special during the day?
Well, we go out for dinner. During the day, we just hang out. Not really. She doesn't make us clean the garage or anything. She's nice, I guess. We just hang out with her, and that's about it, though.
And one of the big things as well on Mother's Day, as you mentioned, is that it's not just about your mom, but it's about godmothers or aunts or grandmothers or great-grandmothers.
All mothers.
So I usually call my grandmother as well and wish her happy Mother's Day, stuff like that.
Exactly.
So there you go, guys. Now you know all about Mother's Day in the United States.
If you really like this episode or know someone who might enjoy it, please share it with them. Thanks for listening, guys. Goodbye.
And happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Bye.